It is Dead City Season 2, the premiere episode hit on AMC just a couple days ago on Sunday. I did watch it, of course, and I don't know. So first I want to talk about the positives of this, which to me, the direction, the color grading, the cinematography, the special effects, even some of the action, the choreography, you could say, in some of these scenes as well. Parts of the acting I thought were pretty good. Like everything from kind of a visual standpoint in this premiere episode was really good, man. Really good. Even just the opening sequence, which I think we already saw, but again, seeing it, in its full form in this episode, was really cool. Like, it was just a really cool opening sequence, showing us the methane and how, they collect the walkers in the garbage truck and then put them down, in these tanks and get the methane from it. And there was and even like some of the shots in the episode where we get, we go from Herschel's drawing into then the real world and seeing the buildings with the bridge, and there were just a number of those kind of really cool sequences. I think this is Michael E. Cetruzenis, if that's how you pronounce his name, the director for this one, and he directed quite a few really great Walking Dead episodes, if I remember correctly. So you could see it full display here, in this episode. I thought, on the same level of The Ones Who Live, to be honest, with some of, especially that first episode of The Ones Who Live, just felt very cinematic in a way that not much of even the original series felt at times. And so I felt that again in this episode. It really felt like a cut above in terms of that kind of physical, or not physical, but the visual stuff, right? In the episode. It was really quite impressive to me. Now, in terms of sort of, more of the negatives here. So, I don't know. Yes, I like seeing Negan be Negan again, right? I love seeing him bash heads in, seeing that side of Negan again, seeing him be the leader. But I just do not, I just can't get on board with how they've gotten there, right? There's something that just feels forced to me about it. It's this, and this is what I really liked in season 1 of Dead City, actually, when we get that, it was a really great monologue from him, where it's something about, it's raining or something like that. I'm forgetting it now, but a great monologue where I think it's in that church scene, or he's on a balcony, right, and he throws this body down, and so, a great tip, like classic Negan monologue, really great. But that scene was so great in season 1 because, yes, we got to see old Negan, we got to see classic Negan, but it was in a way where he was, he had to do it, right? It wasn't just him, fully becoming old, classic Negan again. It was because he was pushed to the brink in that scene. He was threatened by this group, and the only way to kind of protect the people that he was with, and himself even, was to put on that display, right? To put on that display, say all the things that he says, what is he? He cuts the throat of the guy, throws him off the balcony, right? He had to. It was because he was put in that situation and he had to do it. And so it felt natural. It felt like a really good scene. But now in this season, especially in the premiere here, I just don't get that same feeling. It just feels kind of cheap to me. It feels forced. Where, like, I feel like they've wrote themselves into a very odd place here, right? Like, so he's being held prisoner in this cell, but they want him to be, the leader. So they're basically, holding him hostage, but making him be the leader of the group. Which to me, like, if you think about it for a second, it's like, okay, they want him to be the leader of the group. They're going to give him Lucille. Like, couldn't he just turn around, even in the great scene in this episode, couldn't he just turn around and take the head off of the Croat? Couldn't he, put up a fight against the guards or whatever? Like, I guess, okay, maybe the guards, like, tackle him or something in the process. But it just feels there's something that feels so weird to me about this. Like, they're holding him prisoner, but then they want him to be the leader of this group and then give him power. Like, it's just such an unnatural, weird way to get to the point where okay, we want to see old Negan again. We want to see him embrace this part of him again, even though he doesn't want to, and it just is not natural to him anymore all these years later. But we have to kind of pigeonhole it into the story here, into this season of Dead City. And so it just feels like a very weird way that they're doing it, with him being, forced into having to be like this. And again, the stuff in this episode with, that they reveal that they know about Annie, right? Just felt very quick to me, and it, like, they literally just say her name. And all of a sudden, the next scene, Negan is in, and he's like being forced into it. Even though, we get the idea that it's been almost a year, or at least many months, that he's been in that prison cell eating cockroaches and refusing them. Why wouldn't they just tell him at the very beginning that they knew where Annie was, or play that card to get him to be the leader? So there's just many kind of inconsistencies and things here where it just feels forced to me, that they're just trying to give us old Negan, even though it doesn't really make sense for his character at this point in the story. And then on the other side of things with Maggie, that to me as well just feels very forced in terms of the writing there, where that she has to go back to Manhattan now and back to Negan when... and this is, I voiced these concerns, especially with this aspect. I voiced these concerns when I talked about season 1 of Dead City, when I said, I'm like, how do they do a season 2 here? Like, how does Maggie get involved again? How do her and Negan, share the screen together again in this series? How does this happen? And of course, they kind of make it happen in this premiere episode with having her, taking the place of all these people at her camp in order to save them. And so she has to go back to Manhattan on this mission. And then they're making this big plot now that New Babylon wants to take back the city. When, again, I just didn't feel like that was at all where the plot was going in season 1. So just feels like they're trying to force things here a little bit, especially with the Maggie thing. Just kind of feels like out of nowhere, she's gone home, she spent time with Herschel, and now she's finally home and he's safe, and now she's going back to Manhattan. It just doesn't make sense for her character that much. And season 1 did make sense, though. It did feel like a very natural thing, even though a lot of us were probably skeptical of a Maggie Negan series. To me, at least, it did feel natural. It felt very, there was a purpose for it. There was a purpose of her and Negan pairing together, teaming up to go to Manhattan to rescue her son. I mean, of course you're going to do that. But this season, that's missing somehow. And it just feels like they're kind of forcing it instead of it feeling kind of organic. And even maybe going in a different direction with this show than just trying to give us classic Negan again, trying to give us Maggie confronting Negan again, even though we saw that in season 1. So anyways, those are my thoughts on, I guess, this premiere episode. Like I said, a lot of positives, just visually appealing, kind of impressive, a lot of the stuff in that aspect. But the writing here is just a little frustrating to me, where I'm just not a huge fan of kind of where they've gone with season 2. Again, it is just the first episode. Maybe I kind of put these criticisms to bed once we get going. There's 8 episodes this season, so there's a lot more to go through here, obviously, and so maybe I might change my thoughts as the season goes on, but those are just kind of my initial thoughts as of watching the premiere episode here this week.